Hello, everybody, and thanks for joining us for this special live session. I'm Itzik Amiel, and we are here with this weekly Switch interview series, Switch It On, where we talk to smart and talented people and leaders and how you can switch on your practice and maybe even your life. And you're invited, if you watch it now, join us now. It is live, and we are here for a very special session because we're going to talk today about beyond happiness. And I know some of you are curious because you send some emails, so you wait and you see. Or in other words, how authentic leaders prioritize purpose and people for growth and impact. And how can you do the same to grow your professional career or your practice? So if you're joining us now, you know what I love to see that you are within the room because I want our guests to see that. So if you're here, join us, just type in your name and where you are dialing from so we can all see that you're joining us. To do that now, if you're joining us, please type in your name and where you're dialing from in the chat so I could share it with everyone. I see that already. Yap already there. I like the tune. Thank you very much, Yap. It's the same every week, right? And so everybody else who's joining, please do. So I want to see the whole international audience here with us. So without further ado, I have the honor to have this live session with an amazing lady and absolutely top expert. Today, my special guest and friend is Jenn Lim. So before I invite Jenn to join us, let me give you a short highlights about her. I know I love to do that behind people's back because as a speaker, I hate people reading my resume in front of me. So I don't want to make her embarrassed. But you'll see Jenn Lim is the CEO and also the Chief Humanity Officer of Delivering Happiness. The company she and the late Tony Ashe, former CEO of Zappos.com, co-founded to inspire science-based happiness, passion, and purpose at work, home, and in everyday life, if you want to. Jenn has been a consultant with Zappos from its startup until 2003 or to the 2 billion business it is today. She created the Zappos Culture Book, an embodiment of how companies can use happiness as a business model to increase productivity and profitability. Jenn's experience with Zappos combined with her development of scientific framework for workplace happiness created the evidence that happier employees equal happier customers, equal successful companies, and even meaningful life. Jenn has traveled over 30 countries to speak on this occasion, and she is a Wall Street Journal bestselling author of her new book, Beyond Happiness, and has been coined by many industry experts, thought leaders, and members of the media as the happiness expert. With this happy note, I want to invite Jenn to join us. So thank you. Hi, Jenn. Thank you for joining us. Thank you and welcome.
Thank you for having me. It's so good to be here.
Yeah, we are happy very much first that you have the time to join us with all the fire, what's happening in the world. I know you're very busy and the summer vacation, so all things around, and you found. So I'm happy for that, and I look forward to it for a long time, and many of our audiences. And so I know we are here for a special treat, especially when we look at the professional industry. The word happy sounds like unfamiliar to a lot of people. So I think we're going to bring it to the right connotation once and for lifetime.
Yeah.
So, if your permission, Jenn, I want to set the stage for our conversation. Let me give a short little overview because for each professional and professional firm, the idea of as just said, leading happy, unbeat team sounds great, right? Everybody, it sounds great, but is it
Yeah.
really necessary? As long as employees are doing the job and ideally not hating it, it's fine, right? That's what everybody think. Well, I don't think so. And a professional firm, especially nowadays, employee happiness counts for a lot. The rising importance, what we call client experience, with its focus on individuality and many of the firm, meaning and choice, has really awakened a new phenomenon with professional firms that must look internally to satisfy what we all know called the age of employee experience. The link
Mhm.
between happiness and productivity isn't new. I'm going to hear it today, but many professional firms still underestimate just how important it is to the workplace.
Yeah.
Because many researchers prove that happy employees stay in their job 4 times longer than unhappy employees. Happy employees are 12% more productive. Happy employees commit twice as much time to the task. Happy
Mhm.
employees have 65% more energy than unhappy employees. You know why I'm so upset? Because I was always happy, never appreciated by that. Clearly, having happy employees isn't it a bonus? It's a necessity for every successful workplace, every successful firm. Productivity, motivation, dedication, retention all depends on it. That's
Right.
exactly the reason for this special and powerful session with Jen. So to understand more about this tangible effect of happiness as on us, on our workplace, and much, much more, and how should we build workplaces, strategies that really spread happiness and as a result benefit all the employees and the bottom line of your firm. That's a long introduction, Jen. Because I know you're talking about so much to talk about. We have only half an hour. And without permission, I already told you I'm going to start with what I call 10 in 1. So these are
Yep.
10 fast questions in 1 minute. And I will ask you to answer us very fast. And I ask the audience if you will participate with us. You can type also in the chat your answers to the question if you have time. Otherwise, just listen to Jen ideas and approach on some of the things I'm going to ask her. So if you're ready, Jen, I'm going to bring it forward to the people that's with us.
Okay.
You
And
ready,
these are
Jen?
one word responses. Is that right? Is it?
I give you the response so you can have even choice to this. So you don't have to really formulate your answers. So here we go. So let's start. Let's see how does it go. So here's number one. Is improving the workplace via happiness is innovative strategy, an unknown treasure, or nothing special?
Uh, Hands down, innovative strategy. It needs
Awesome.
to happen more than ever these days.
Absolutely. Number two, becoming happy. It's everybody can do that. Only people who do not have problems or nothing to do with work.
Everyone has a set point of happiness when they were born. So, in some ways, if you look at it that way, everyone can increase their levels of happiness no matter what, if they were happy go lucky to begin with, or they were perhaps more, thoughtful, brooding, cynical. Wherever you are on the spectrum, you can always tune it up to be happier.
You heard that everybody's there. Everybody can do it, including you. So don't run away from us. Number three, the importance of happiness during the last decade definitely increased, stay the same. Oh, you have no idea.
This one's also a no-brainer. It definitely increased because I remember when we launched Delivering Happiness in 2010, first the book and then the company that's still running today. It was sort of a nice to have. You talked about this earlier in the introduction. It was like novel, cute, but it was not for work or not for their company. Now, especially after 2020, it's a need to have. And people are understanding. And the most important thing is about meaningful happiness, not just rainbows and unicorns, but meaningful happiness in terms of a sense of higher purpose. And so I think we'll talk about this later in the program, but essentially that's the most important thing to remember, that we're not just talking about your highs, we're talking about the meaningful parts of your whole life.
Great. And I think everybody would hear it today because it's about time also the professional industry to go after any other industry and stop thinking about it as unicorn, rainbow, etc.
Mm.
Great. We have 30 seconds left for the other question. Number four, in today's workforce, happy employees can attract better clients. Not always, for sure, or keep dreaming, Itzik.
For sure.
Of course.
And the reason why is because when they're happier, they're more authentic, and then they will attract people that will want to be close to that energy. But I know we have like 20 seconds, so let's keep going.
Number five, a great organizational culture is one that lives and breathes its purpose, its values, and don't confuse me, Itzik, both.
It's both. And we'll go
Absolutely.
into that for sure.
Number six, measurement of happiness at work can easily be done. No way to measure it. Who needs it?
I think it can be easily be done if you see it that way. It's basically leveraging the stats you're already collecting and then tying it to what you're doing with your happiness initiative.
Thank you, Jen. Number
Mhm.
seven, to actually improve employee happiness, learn what happiness means to them, show your value to them, or encourage and invest in the skills.
This one's D, all of the above.
It was tricky, it didn't feel. Number eight, the firm values are just word on the wall, factors in the firm long-term success, or good to have but not a must.
B, factors in the firm's long-term success, and it needs to be
Absolutely.
real and really live.
No other way to think about it. Number nine, almost at the end. One of the important fundamental of workplace well-being is the culture. Absolutely not. Yes, 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 or never thought about it.
Triple yes. no doubt.
Absolutely. It's part of your book. Number 10, be happy in your workplace. First, work on yourself, work on your work condition, or work on your firm culture.
This is another D, all of the above. All those things need to happen, especially as leaders in this day and age. We got to remember to work on ourselves as we work on everything else too.
Great. Thank you, Jen. You see, it was very easy. You could answer all the questions. By the way, if you're joining us now, please type in your name in the chat box. Where you're dialing from, we want to see you there. Because I see you, Diana, Rajiv, Alex, Brown, Baideli. I cannot pronounce him, Kuabala. I think you pronounced it right. Sorry for that. All of you there, please type in your name. We can see that you're there. But I would like to continue dialing with question of Jen. If you have question for Jen later on, do that also in the chat box because we want to ask your question to her. She's here for you more than for me. So Jen, the first thing I want to know from you after that question, happiness is it's a wonderful state to be. But your
Yeah.
best-selling book titled Beyond Happiness. So how do you go beyond happiness? What did you mean by it?
Yeah. So I think one of the preconceived notions, I mean, I've been in this space for over like 10 years now. And what I would want to break down is the preconceived notion that happiness is just about the highs. It's just about those rainbows and unicorns, or, just when people feel like, oh, yeah, I'm having a happy day, happy moment. But the reality is, what I wanted to show is by going beyond, it's not just the highs, it's also our lows. It's also knowing not only our strengths, but also our weaknesses, our blind spots. And by being able to be real with that authentically and not sweeping things under, the rug and saying, oh, I'll think about or try to like embrace that uncomfortable feeling later, it's about actually embracing it also that we feel whole and we feel real. So by going beyond happiness, it's not the need to be, from the time you wake up to the time you go to sleep, to be happy every moment. I mean, that's just not possible. But it does mean to go from the full gamut of the day to feel like you're living fully and meaningfully. And that embraces those uncomfortable moments, those lows that we all have gone through, especially in these last 2.5 years. I mean, everyone in the world has experienced some sort of loss or grief or tension or sadness. And that's why we really wanted to go beyond happiness, so that we are truly being more authentic and real to our whole selves.
And I love it because it's exactly what I think. I myself personally, I feel like I'm happy, and of course everybody's sad as well. But I could not be aware when I was happy, that fully aware that I was happy from the
Mm.
bottom of my heart. And then I think I will appreciate that moment much more if I know they're coming and I know when they're coming and how to use them productively in my life. Of course, I mean, so you're right. That there's a lot more than just being happy for the sake of being happy.
Hmm.
Um, so again, I mean, I'm encouraging people are joining us now. So don't go away. I'm here with Jenn Lim. We're talking about beyond happiness. I promise you, worth every word for your practice and your firm. And if you're joining us now, thank you for that. But type in your name in the chat so we know you're here with us and you're joining us. So we understood the importance of being happy, and I think you agree with me, Jen. A lot of it is also a mindset. But let's
Hmm.
talk about some practical ramification. Okay, so
Hmm.
let's get some practical advice for our viewers. Because if your book gave, I remember reading some example of companies that prioritize the happiness about everything else, and you describe it as that thrive based on that. So based on those examples, looking at professional firm, can
Hmm.
you please share with us how professional firms listening to us shall prioritize happiness to get better results in the business?
Yeah. And what I loved about your introduction, you already shared the why. So I don't have to go to the why we want to do it. It's like retention, engagement, loyalty, better customer experiences. So you know the why already. So the how is what I'm really passionate about, because these are all nice concepts unless you put them into real action. And so the biggest, like most fundamental foundational thing to do, and especially now, is to establish that sense of having purpose and values. And from the sense of not just the organization. So like, for example, what's your firm that is doing that's bigger than it's just making more profits? It's important to make money. I have no doubt about that. But, people really want to know, why are you doing what you're doing? Articulating that is one thing, but being able to articulate your own purpose and values for everyone in the organization is really the key to the how. So that people, when they show up, you can tell it's not for their paycheck. You can tell it's because they're aligned with their own personal purpose, and their own set of values. And so, as leaders these days, the more we can actually open up that conversation and do these exercises that I talk about very, very pragmatically in my book, then you're actually getting everyone, you know, included in this process of not just what your organization is doing that's beyond happiness or beyond making profits. Everyone that's stepping into your team or your company is feeling that way and super aligned to that greater goal. And that's when you see the how turn into the positive results and the outcomes that we're talking about. So again, purpose and values, instilling that within your company, instilling that with everyone individually, and helping that align to the greater goal. That's the fundamental foundation that I've seen work time and time again.
And I like it because indeed, I mentioned, I think not rightly before saying about the organization or happy professional firm, but actually it's not, the firm cannot be happy. The people in the firm should be happy. The workforce, the people around it, and that makes a firm. I mean, I remember taking a
Mm,
few lawyers with me to your headquarters of Zappos in Las Vegas.
right.
And what do you mean by happy employees? I said, don't talk, let's go, I'll show you. And I remember walking around, and that's what they explained, the happiness that you see people working out of his passion and values in
Mm,
everything they're doing. So you don't have to, I think Warren Buffett once said, all these things are the air we breathe. We don't have to
mhm.
define them, but because when they are there, nobody notices. When they are not there, everybody notices.
Yeah.
So somebody's not happy, everybody can smell from kilometers. But happy employees who are doing a thing, you see it all the time around us if you just pay attention to it.
That's true. What you just said also made me think of something that we've been saying is that like you can notice when that feeling when someone walks into a room and you can feel like the room gets happier, and you can also sense the feeling when someone leaves the room gets happier. So there's a difference in that that I think we can all remind ourselves, and sometimes maybe we are that person, so maybe we're not that aware that we're causing that. But just thinking about the room being your company, and that really affects it. Just takes one person to really change the dynamic of everything.
I'm laughing because I know not only me, everybody listening to you know exactly what you're talking about. Because in professional firms, there's always this one person, and and when we talk about it, everybody has this person coming in the mind. You remember that person who went out of the room, and the room was lightening up, and everybody was happy. So think about it carefully because it's such a good advice from you, Jen. Thanks for that. I mean, by the way, if you want to learn more about what Jen is doing in her work, I mean, no, we cannot cover everything in this half an hour. But I suggest you warmly go to a website and I'll share it with you right away. It's jennlim.com, right, Jen?
Mhm.
Jennlim.com. And there you can find more about the book and much more thing, and about, of course, the company that we're going to probably going to hear more from Jen sooner or later about the stuff. So I recommend very much you go there to learn more. But don't leave us right now. Again, if you're here and I saw Magdalena Poland there to share a name, thank you for that. Anybody who's there, share it with us. I know you're in the room. I can see it. I want our guests to see it as well. So just share your name, where you are. If you have a question, type it in the chat box. And if you want to make sure you never miss one of our weekly Switch On interview series, I suggest follow me on LinkedIn or go to the Switch Up website where you can sign up, get business development strategies and tips. Also, you add it to the list where you can get regular reminders about fantastic guests like Jen, like today. So you're never going to miss it. Okay, so I covered that. And again, I want to continue with our practical topics of beyond happiness with Jen. And many of our listeners, Jen, are coming also from small, medium firms. I mean, internationally, small, medium firm are probably many in the US, but, in some countries, a large firm, but small and medium concerned to the US firm. It doesn't matter. But I know they're asking themselves the question I'm going to ask you because they are small, medium firm, and they want to listen to you, they want to implement it. But how can they create really, let's call it a program that really help instill happiness among the employees, benefit them, especially to grow the practice and the client experiences?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, one of the beauties about the model that we've been using for over a decade now is that it has applied across every size of company, across every industry, because in the end, it's based on the science of happiness and based on really organizational design. And that's like, I love geeking out on that, even that sounds very dry and non-sexy, but that's how we get things to work. So we've worked with accounting and legal firms on the small, medium size, but also, if you think about it, like, and you started this program with saying like accounting firms and professional firms don't necessarily think about happiness, but on the bigger scale, I've seen major changes like at KPMG, at Accenture. And I can say this because I used to work at KPMG, and I'm guarantee you it's not a happy place when I started working there out of college. But now, they're focusing and they're prioritizing their people. And Accenture, then they raised in the ranks as accounting firms and consulting firms by saying, we really care. We want to understand where they're at, what are they dealing with, what are their challenges, how can we help, how can we, have more flexible hours? How can we take care of like parents better? Just all these things that we normally would not have thought of happened like 10, 15 years ago. So that's at the bigger scale, but at the smaller scale, it's actually easier because essentially like you're a team within like it would be a size of a team within a large corporation. So one of the big things, I already talked about purpose and values. Big thing about instilling fulfilling happiness is these four levers, and it includes purpose, but these levers, like no matter what you do, number one, check on the status of your, like take a snapshot, have a very attentive listening tour of your people and ask them what's going well, what's not going well. And that's the snapshot, and use data points too, like whatever you're collecting from a survey perspective or your retention rates, use those data points as stats and stories. When you take that snapshot, then you get a sense of, oh, these are the things we can celebrate, and these are the challenges that we're facing as a group. Take those top two to three challenges and use these happiness levers for them. Number one, the lever of control. How can you increase the ability for them to feel they have a sense of control? Something that we totally lost in the last 2.5 years. I'll give you a simple example, and this is in a doctor's office. And someone came up to me and he said, I love going to my doctor's office. And I'm like, who are you and who loves going to the doctor's office? And he's like, when you talked about control, it totally made sense. I went last time and the receptionist gave me her business card, and on it said, what was it? The chief of first impressions. So for her, she loved that role. She owned it, and it made the customer, the patient, love going to the office as well. So that's just one simple example of control. Another one is progress. Make sure everyone is feeling that they're moving, growing, developing in some way. Even if it's like a long project, make sure you're celebrating milestones along the way. The third one, and this was a huge one right now, especially because we've been in Zoom land, or in this case, in StreamYard land, is a sense of connectedness. And this is not just about talking about, what you're binging on Hulu or, what your happy hour drink will be. It's actually talking more meaningfully. And this is where the magic of having purpose and values, when you have those kind of conversations, then you can actually speak to them in a way of, oh, I know Itzik's purpose. I know Itzik's, most important values. And so we can have these more deeper exchanges and more connected interactions that really creates a more bonding sense of family, or just really stronger connections. And then last one, of course, is purpose. If you have the umbrella purpose on top, all these levers to address your problems and issues will inevitably make things better. And all you need to show is that you're dialing things up. All you need to show transparently is, hey, we're not going to fix this in a day. There's just no way. But I am committed to this, and we're going to do it together. So those are the kind of the basic steps on how you can move yourself, dial up the happiness level so you can get all the outcomes that we were talking about before.
Thanks for that, Jen. I mean, I thought it was the 4 C's because I wrote the control, the celebrate, and connect, but then came the purpose.
That's always on top.
But yeah, that's exactly it. I mean, I think you made it so easy. I mean, again, a lot of it, I'm sure there's a lot of process, a lot of steps. But if you start and understand how to do it, I guess people have to start doing it. There's no other way. And this is the right time to do it. There's no better time than now to do those things. I'm looking to see if people are joining us, and I can see that we have another people, some people not sharing the name, but I see another guest from Amsterdam. Feel free to join your name. Don't do it anonymically, otherwise I cannot share it. But Jen, I'm back to you. So in your book, you explain that it's evaluation and adaptation to changes in the what you call, I think, what you use in the book about the company greenhouse model to convey what it means to be scientifically happy and authentically whole yourself, as you explained before.
Yeah.
So if we go back to professional firm, can you explain to us what do you mean with this greenhouse model and how it's applied to this professional firm or professionals who are listening?
Well, I think that's a great question because it seems like you kind of have a greenhouse in your backdrop already with all the plants growing. So you already started it. But yeah, so the greenhouse model is something that I kind of took, all these learnings, and I really wanted to show it in a way that's very practical. But so it gets really technical in terms of the elements for the greenhouse to grow. But for professional firms, just think of it this way: from a conceptual level, the belief is that leaders, who we are and what we're here for is to grow others, to grow people in our organization, to help prioritize people in that way. So at the same time, though, as a leader, we don't have to be the tallest plant or biggest tree. We want to provide the conditions for others to grow so then we can all actually grow the organization and profits together. But the biggest caveat and the biggest add and build to that, especially since the last 2.5 years of a loss of control, a loss of psychological safety, a state where people have not necessarily processed everything that's happened, is that we have to remember, as we're growing other greenhouses, to nurture our own. And I say that it seems so simple because it's like the whole airplane, metaphor of like, or the whole oxygen mask analogy of put it on yourself first. It seems counterintuitive, but it really is true. And sometimes we get so focused on revenue, sales, profits, and all these external factors that are important to the business, but we forget about how we can nurture our own greenhouse first or together. And that was one of your first, one of the 10 questions that you asked earlier. So that was pretty cool. And doing that in tandem means that you can ensure that as you're working on these other elements, including people and including profits, you're also elevating and growing yourself too. So that's a conceptual level of greenhouse to show that, especially in this current state, people are still, figuring out what has happened. But at least one thing we all know is that maybe people don't necessarily want to say, oh, I need to be happier. Maybe that's not their words. But you won't be able to find anyone that says, I don't want to grow, or I don't want to learn, or I don't want to elevate to another level in my career or in my life or in my relationships. Everyone needs those, everyone has that fundamental human source of wanting that. So that greenhouse model is meant to create that from a metaphorical level, but then actually embed the conditions that I've been talking about, whether it's the scientific levers of happiness or what I talk about in the book, which is a sense of accountability, a sense of alignment with purpose and values, a sense of connectedness, and a sense of commitment. And the commitment is that this is not a short-term deal. This is long-term commitment for long-term gain for not just your company, but for the people that you're growing as well.
Perfect. I think it fits very well because I live in Holland and there's a lot of greenhouses around me here. So perfectly well. So that's why I liked it. But it's funny because I know a lot of people listening to it, and I don't know any of these people that I know listening to us now who get up in the morning, go to the mirror, Jen, look at himself or herself, say, today I'll be so peace and unhappy person. Who's doing that? Waking up wants to be happy, and they go into the first traffic jam and all the mood goes up, and then
Yeah.
we all understand that we need to be happy. We understand we want to wake up and go to sleep happy, but I think you're giving us a very much tangibility of that. What we all live with, the happiness that it's possible. It's in your hand to control. You have to find the right environment, and you can be proactive to do it. There's all in our days, and actually it's the good timing because even the society and workplace, have to accept that it's not like you look weird or you want to be happy. I remember years ago, people look at me, why are you smiling? Why are you happy? What's going on with you?
Yeah.
I took magical mushrooms or something, whatever they think. And now everybody wants to be there. And when they see you, they think, wow, I want to be like this person. What you're saying is everybody could be if you just take the right framework, a structure, and do it. Not only that, take care of yourself, then they take care of your colleagues and your workplace. So,
right. That's
love
why
it.
you're totally right. And it does, like I talk about in the book, it starts with the me. Our model is me, we, community. And me, obviously you got to start with the individual first because you have that sense of control. You have that sense of choice. How do you want to react to yet another day of traffic? Yet another nasty email from a customer that you really can't stand, or something that, how do you take that in and be able to be mindful, be grounded, control, identify your emotions, but realize that they don't need to overwhelm you, and then move on. And that's what I mean by those highs and lows. And that's what I mean by living fully and meaningfully, because you're grounding yourself and you don't care about the chaos that can swirl. You don't care about like what unknown, unpredictable thing. It's like embracing uncertainty, really, and getting comfortable with the uncomfortable. And that brings a sense of maybe people aren't thinking happiness, but at least groundedness. And then you have more senses of like being able to actually live fuller and more meaningfully.
Absolutely. And I think it does connect to another word you use a lot, and I love it, endorse it, is authenticity. You cannot be, spreading happiness if you're not authentic, happy yourself and take care of yourself. So it's like me going to teach people how to lose weight. I mean, come on. Do it yourself, then teach other people. But, those who are joining us now, it's not too late. Stay with us. We're not at the end. We're almost at the end. But I'm here with Jenn Lim, and we talk about beyond happiness. I promise you want to watch the replay if you missed that part, but you want to stay with us and listen to the rest of our conversation. And if you have a question, please type it in the chat, because I want to pose your question to Jenn as well. So Jenn, as you agree that no matter, and you mentioned before, no matter how perfectly we conduct our life, they won't always be joyful and happy, because every moment's happy, then we'll never be happy. Because
Yep.
even the happiest and fullest of life stories are sure to be colored with the waves of pain and sadness. And we all have it throughout our life. And if you're not, we will have it. But
Mm.
perhaps maybe a richer, a more attainable goal of happiness is really to seek the well-being. A really key word in our industries and also in the professional industry. Specifically, when we talk about well-being in the professional industry, I remember, because I carried for all my life as a lawyer, is in 2011 was a study from the British Psychological Society that
Mm.
concluded, literally, they wrote there, and I'm quoting, well-being amounts to more than mere happiness and involve a wide range of personal and social domains, including positive relationships and a sense of meaning and purpose in life. And I talk a lot about relationship, and you're talking about the sense of meaning and purpose in life. That's why I love it, because
Mm.
that's a combination. So, what is
Mhm.
your take on that, and how do you connect this happiness to what the well-being in those firms?
Yeah, I'm really glad you asked this question because for me, it's kind of missing the point when people get too worked up into these terms.
Hmm.
Like for example, whether it's well-being, whether it's happiness. As example, one of my good friends, Chip Conley. I don't know if you've met him before, but amazing guy, Joie de Vivre. Did amazing work at Airbnb, and he's all about joy. And I asked him, he was a guest on one of my programs, and I asked him how he defined joy, and he pretty much line for line defined it in the same way I define happiness. And what you just defined right now is well-being, line for line, connectedness, relationships, higher purpose. So in the end of the day, it's just semantic. And I think it's important, though, as leaders, to define what we mean when we say well-being, when we say happiness, when we say joy. I feel like it's kind of similar to the whole sustainability movement. It's like, oh yeah, we want to be sustainable. Like, well, what does that really mean? So I think, get over the semantics, define it, ground it, and then move on and actually do it. I think that's what the most important thing is.
Right. And I see we have also a comment from, I will read it to you, from our listener. When you cannot control what is happening to you, challenge yourself to control the way you respond to what's happening to you. That is where your real power is. Stay
Mm,
happy with your choices. I
totally.
think absolutely we both agree. And I think it's right. I think I also chose a beautiful quote from the Dalai Lama to summarize our session, who said, happiness is not something ready made, it's come from your own actions. And that's
Mm.
exactly it. You have to be practical. You have to do it. You don't wake up in the morning and suddenly a voice comes from the sky and says, today you'll be happy. I mean, if you don't do nothing about it, you'll be sad to the rest of your life. If you do something, today is the right day to start. Start with Jenn, start what she teaches, get the book, get a copy of it, jennlim.com. As I said before, that's the place to get it, to look for more information. And my friend, that's the time to take action, implement what you have learned. I mean, I know it's a lot in condensed amount of time, but start with something. And I
Mm.
guarantee if you learn those things Jenn teach us, your life will look totally different. Now, I've been here with Jenn Lim. She is the CEO of Delivering Happiness and the author of the best-selling book Beyond Happiness. And I want you to grab a copy of it. Again, you can learn more about Jenn and her work and her website, jennlim.com. And I should share it again with you. Those of you asking me, here it is in front of you, jennlim.com. So Jenn with double N and Lim with the M. Great, nice. And and for now, thank you, Jenn. It's been
Thank
fantastic.
you.
I know it was short. I know it was powerful. I know a lot of the things you're talking about. I dreamt for years. Somebody would tell me that as an authority, and here you are. So thank you very, very, very much.
Thank you. And thank you,
And I'm
everyone in the
taking
audience,
this
too.
session with your permission, Jenn, to Tony, your late partner who lost his life in 2020. And I talked with him on big stages. And that's why I got to know Zappos and the Culture Book many years ago. And I
Mm,
endorse what you guys doing to this world, but you are still keeping the legacy. So thank you, thank you, thank you for the rest of your life,
Thank
Jenn, for
you.
everything you're doing.
Thank
And,
you.
and Jenn and myself, I want to thank each one of you who join us, who've been here with us and listen a little bit some practical ideas about happiness. Again, remember next Tuesday, 6 p.m. Central European time, 12 p.m. Eastern time, 9 p.m. Pacific time. We have another session. But now it's time to switch on your happiness and bring happiness to your own workplace. So from Jenn and myself, everybody, thank you very much. Bye for now.
Awesome. Thank you.